What is going on, beautiful people? Vernon, we are here from the Happy Meals Diet, making sure we talk about everything involving health, happiness, and everything in between. So today we are going to continue our conversation about raising your standards, and we're going to be talking today about the secret to raising your standards even faster. Why do you want these standards to become faster? Why do you want this to be easier? Well, one, who wants to do the hard way? And two, it's about making sure that you can make this consistent and you can have some sort of accountability that makes it more fun to make it more fruitful. Why are you going to need these measures? Well, it's because when you start to raise your standards with any change in your life, especially if you're about 30 and above, you're going to have some conflicting information. That data is what you've experienced, what you've heard from other people. You might not even lived it, but you'd be a damn fool not to pay attention to what other people have told you or cautioned you about. And when you are approaching these changes, raising your standards, going out there and putting yourself out there, doing a daily live, or putting yourself out there, raising your standards and saying, hey, I want to level up in my personal relationships and in my romantic relationships, inside, you're going to have this force. You're going to have this thing called homeostasis that's built into all of us. That is our body's need, desire to find some sort of balance. And it's going to be pulling at you. It's going to be calling and demanding so much from you. You know, one of the really big books that I recommend to persons, and I'm typically not the biggest fan of recommending certain books, but one of the big books that talks about this that I can personally recommend is Gay Hendricks, The Big Leap. And he talks a lot about this in terms of as you level up, as you're raising your standards in regards to what we're talking about, you're going to have some feedback, some data that's going to try to rear its ugly head. It's going to try to pop back up and then tell you that you can't do it. It's going to say, why would you consider? It's going to say all these things. And trust me, your boy knows all about that. As I've talked about, if you follow me on other, there we go. Had some type of delay. I was working on things that make me super uncomfortable. And when you get uncomfortable, you know, people talk about being uncomfortable after it's done, even before, but very few people are talking about it as they're going through it. Every single day, I am going through it right now. And that's where these have been helpful for me because this is uncomfortable for me to do this. And I have this data that's coming back. I have these past experiences that are coming up. I've got these things because everybody at some point in their lives, no matter where they are, wonders if they're enough, wonders if they can do it, and they just wonder these things. And people call this self-doubt. And I'm here to tell you now that that is normal, that is common. And if it's not common or normal for you, that's great. But for other people, myself included, it gets to us. And that's because we are dealing with some of the forces called the past, called our memories, and we got to get by those. So we're always trying to look for some different ways that we can make this even easier. As I mentioned, Gay Hendricks talks about this in his book, The Big Leap. Now, what we're talking about is the secret to managing, dealing with these past thoughts, managing, dealing with these past conversations that you have with people. One of the fastest ways that I have found, with no equivocation, and this is why this is such a big secret, because people don't recognize this, especially now after all of us were told to sit down for the last couple of years. You know, for different reasons, whether you want to believe it or not. I'm not trying to get dinged by YouTube, so I'm not going to even go there. But, you know, all of us had to sit down. But the secret is support. When you're leveling up, when you're raising your standards, when you're really putting yourself out there, you have got to make sure that you are surrounded by reminders. That is a level of support. Surrounded by people who already have those standards. I talked about this on Monday and a little bit on Tuesday. But you want to be surrounded by people who are living the standard that you have, want, or desire. And in some cases, maybe they're working towards raising a standard. Another way of looking at it is you want to spend your time with people who are having fun with the things that you struggle with, and vice versa. This is important because when you start recognizing that you get to an uncomfortable place, everybody talks about being uncomfortable. Well, you often hear that people talk about being uncomfortable and pushing your comfort zone. Those are more ideological thoughts for me. They're not really indicators of someone who gets to be uncomfortable. When you are uncomfortable, what you know goes away. What you know just literally just disappears. It can even rob you of your own personality. You know, or yesterday I was going through it, you know, at the end of my day, I'm sitting there and, you know, my butt was kicked. And one thing that I always do is I make sure I surround myself with people who might not who might be working on things, but at the end of the day, they gave everything. And I gave everything yesterday. And what I needed was just a kick me up, just a little bit of support to say, hey, you did a great job. And I got that. It changed things. And this came from a person who's already excelling in that. And what she said to me, and she's a colleague who's really starting to become a bigger friend. She said, you've already done the hard part. Do you know what that did for my psychology? Do you know what that did for my belief? Do you know what that did for me? And I thought I understood it, but as I slept on it, I woke up and I just felt, I got this. That type of support is everything. How many times would you have liked to hear, hey, you got this. Hey, you can do it. And she had no idea what I was going through. She had no idea what I was experiencing. I'm one of these people that, still water runs deep. And, I was reminded of this, and that's why I was excited to share this with you all. We need those reminders. We need those people to say, you've got this. We need those people to say, hey, this is what I do to be successful at it. Because if you're struggling with this thing, you're going to need someone to say, hey, think about it like this. You've got this. Hey, you've already done the hard part. That is the big expediter. That speeds things up. So if you're going to a point right now in your personal, in your professional, in your academic, in your relational, in your spiritual, in your economic life, and you're saying, and maybe you could be going after all these at once. Maybe you want to take on more, raising your standard on your relationship with health and fitness and exercise and nutrition. We got a guy who has a great program for that. Don't forget, also, we got Happy Holidays. Happy Meals is released officially. It's a holiday cookbook. Click that link right down below to get your free copy of that. All you got to do, the hardest thing possible, get that email and I'll send that right to you. We don't spam you or anything like that, but we want more people to get ahead of their holiday, these holiday goals. Because the goal is not to gain a lot of weight. The goal is to make sure we manage, maintain, in some cases, lose. And we're big on helping people lose their first 10 pounds. But when you're working on these changes in different aspects of your life, having support is everything. It is the secret to keeping the standards high and in many cases higher. So if anybody's hearing this right now, is trying to figure out what's stopping them or maybe what's getting away, maybe it's not you. Your best thinking has produced a life that you're living now. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying your life is bad, but if you want to raise your standards, your best thinking can only get you so far. You need an outside third-party perspective, a third-party voice that maybe you don't hear. Because one of the things that kind of gets laid onto us is other people's problems, other people's qualms, other people's isms. And so, I'm challenging you all to look for some support. Find a community. Find a place where people are going to be there for you. And they're not just giving you lip service, where they truly care. That is a secret to making sure that you level up consistently and constantly. It starts becoming more of a game. And so much so, as I talked about yesterday, I don't wear a crown on my head. I talk about these things because I needed reminders just as much as everyone else. Do I stay in these places for a long time? Not really, but they can happen. Sometimes I can slip. Just like everybody else can. We're all human. But I want more people to get it. Get out there. Find support. Get support. If you need support, shoot me an email. I'm happy to talk with you about this. I've worked with lots and lots of people these years, and there's not too many things that I have not seen. But I'm telling you this, having support is a secret weapon. Get out there, find some support. Find the support that works best for you. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow as we continue to raise our standards. Don't forget to get your copy of Happy Holidays. It's a holiday recipe guide. That's also, we have a different version as well if you're interested. That's gluten-free recipes. So I talk with you tomorrow. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to send me a message at vernon@whatsyourhappy.com. I'll see you tomorrow.